Greetings, my name is Eldad Amara, and today we're going to be looking at the fallacies and the discrepancies in the Bible. That is in the King James Version of the Bible. Now there's many people out there, they call themselves Christians, but they've not really ever studied the Bible. Not from cover to cover, not from page to page, or not from word to word. For example, it starts off in the Bible with, in the beginning. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I'll read that to you again. Chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This starts out with a lie. Check it. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. If you believe that God is all, and all is God, God is everything. God encompasses everything. So, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. You know, it took me a very long time to figure this out. In the beginning. In. Right, if God is inside of something, then how is that the beginning? If God is inside something, how is that the beginning? God has to encompass everything. If God is inside of something, like inside of a wall, yeah? Or if you've got a ruler, inside of the ruler, and not on the outside. If he's outside of the ruler, then that cannot be all. God is all. God encompasses everything. Whoever wrote this Bible was writing it from the perspective of a man. In the beginning. Think about it. In the beginning. If God is all, then God encompasses everything. He's not inside of something. He's all. See, if I had a glass of water and I drank it, or drank half of it, that would not be all, would it? Even if I took a little sip from a whole glass, that would not be all. To be all, the glass would have to be totally full. You take away anything from all, it is less than all. I say another lie. Eve, she was in the Garden of Eden, talking to the serpent. And the serpent tried to get her to eat the apple, which was the fruit and knowledge of life. She was actually talking to the serpent. Think about it. Think about it. She's actually talking to the serpent. Do you really believe that? Do you think that snakes or lizards can talk? In order to be able to talk, you need a voice box, you need a tongue, and for Eve to understand what the snake was saying to her, in order for Eve to understand what the snake was saying to her, they'd have to be speaking the same language, or as he wouldn't be able to communicate with her. Now, I don't know any snakes that can talk. Do you? If you do, show me one, please. Check out chapter 14, verse 16 and verse 17, and it talks about Cain having a wife. Have you ever sat down and really looked at that verse? Or verses? Have you? And do you just ignore it? Or don't you quiz it and ask yourself, where did Cain get his wife? Whoa, I ain't finished with you yet. I'm far from finished with you. Check this. Right. God was supposed to replenish the earth. To replenish the earth means to redo. The word re means again. Right? So Adam and Eve couldn't have been the first people on earth because the earth was replenished. That means to be redone again, to be refilled. In Genesis, verse 1:28, or should I say Genesis 1, verse 28, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. I'm only reading it in parts, but that's a big mistake. Genesis 1 verse 28 talks about replenishing the earth. So there must have been other floods before. The earth must have flooded several times before. Correct? I'm not the one writing these words. Somebody else is writing them. I did not write the words. So if these are God's words, these are God's words. But are they God's words? Or are they somebody else's words? I got another one for you, Bible scholars, preachers. It says there in Genesis chapter 2, and on the seventh day God ended his work which he has made, or which he had made. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. Verse 3. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. Chapter 2 verse 3. And God blessed the seventh day and he sanctified it. I'm only reading it in part. And he sanctified the seventh day. I've got to ask you this again. Does God need rest? Does God need to rest? Because this sounds like human qualities again. If God is all and he created man, why would God need to rest? He created the heavens, the earth, the stars, the moon, man, woman. But for some reason, he gets tired. And the only time that a person rests is when they're tired. So you tell me that God needs to rest? And what's he resting on? Or what's he sitting on? Or sleeping on? That means he must have some kind of a backbone or something. Right, so God's resting on the seventh day. So, that's a Sunday, right? So you go to church on a Sunday. So is God listening to your prayers anyway? If you're going to church on a Sunday and God's resting on a Sunday, he says, I don't want no one to bother me. Is he actually listening to you? And I keep saying he, when in fact God could be a she. Throughout the Bible, it mentions God primarily as he. Maybe God is neither a he or a she. There's so many things in this Bible that are just fiction. Fiction and truth mixed together. And some of us have never actually sat down and read from cover to cover, from page to page, and from word to word. When we go to church on a Sunday, listen to a preacher, half of them don't know what they're talking about. They skip over certain chapters, missing out bits of information, and they can't even get to the start, get the start right in the beginning. See these people taking your money, You go to church every Sunday, filling the dimes and ducats, filling all the buckets with money, and after time, they don't even know what they're checking out. Fallacy. God divided the light from darkness. This is in Genesis chapter 4. God divided the light from the darkness. And in Genesis chapter 1 verse 16, the greater light he called day, the lesser light he called night. I've got to read this one again. God divided the light from the darkness. That's in Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 1 verse 16. The greater light he called day, the lesser light he called night. You see, you can't have day and nights. Like how you could have a light switch and switch off and it becomes dark, and again switch the light back on again and it becomes light. Light and day don't work like that. The sun is always shining somewhere in the sky. It's an illusion to think there is night. It's a shadow hour. There's either some object like a planet or the moon moving across the sun. So you have different times of the day and different times of the night. Or should I say different shadow hours. The sun is always up there in the sky shining. So you cannot switch off the sun like how you can switch off a light switch and then switch it back on again to make it day and night, or to make it light and make it dark. And in actual fact, another thing is shadow hour is still light anyway. It's just two different types of light. Shadow light and daylight. I'll tell you another lie also. It says God created the sun, the moon and the stars. God created the sun, the moon and the stars. Well, stars are suns. I'll say it again. Stars are suns. So either God made a mistake or somebody else made a mistake. And I don't think God makes mistakes. So it must have been a man who implanted that in the Bible. God created the sun, the moon and the stars. This is in Genesis. Another lie, another fallacy. This book, the King James Bible, was brought to Africa by so-called Christians, and we've been indoctrinated by it. We've been beaten up by it, bashed in the head by it, yeah, strangled by it. All we want to know is this book the truth? This book has facts mixed up with fiction. A lot of it man-made. The King James version of the Bible. Version doesn't mean original. And it's a holy book. In Greek, it means Helios Biblios, Book of the Sun. Book of the Sun. Genesis chapter 2 verse 12. And the gold in that land is good. Think about it. Gold takes a long time to produce. It takes millions of years. Millions of years to produce. So Genesis, when it talks about Adam and Eve being the start of Genesis, is that correct? Because the next chapter over, Adam and Eve is chapter 1, chapter 2 starts talking about how the land, or the gold in the land is good. So it takes millions of years for gold to produce. So somebody is lying again. The devil has always been depicted as having a red face, horns, a goatee beard, and also a pitchfork. There's nowhere in the Bible, nowhere, that the devil has been depicted like this. So where does these ideas come from? And I say again, the devil does not have a red face, horns, a goatee beard, and a pitchfork. This is all probably done as an illusion in order to distract you from the truth. You see, whilst you're looking for the devil having this description, the real devil is probably robbing you right underneath your nose. Right underneath your nose. The real devil is right underneath your nose, killing you, thieving from you, robbing from you, lying to you. That's a real analogy. A couple of times I've had ants run about in my house. Now, in order to distract the ants from coming into the house, I've laid sugar down somewhere outside the house, and the ants go to that sugar rather than coming directly into the house. It's used as a distraction technique. So the devil himself may be just distracting you, whilst underneath your nose he's robbing from you, killing you, and torturing you, and putting ideas into your head. There is no devil in the Bible with a red face. It's an illusion, it's a lie. Have you looking for this red coloured person with a red face, horns, and a pitchfork? Oh, and don't forget the goatee beard. That's if you believe that. Mush Bosch on the classic painters and others, I've never had any pictures to actually go on as to what the devil looked like from the Bible. So they've used their own imagination whilst drawing up these pictures of the devil. These painters probably took these ideas of the devil having horns from ancient Eastern gods such as Baal-Hanan, Moloch, Hathor, and other such gods. Yes, you may duck and dive, skim and skive around this book all you want, but all we want to know is the truth. Is this book the truth? That's all we want to know. You see, so many of us have been beating up this Bible, hitting the head with the Bible,